Champions are not born. They're forged. This is about turning the ordinary into undisputed. Available now. Ade Oladipo, brought to you by Undisputed.
Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. This video, in fact all the videos, are brought to you by Undisputed. Thank you so much to them for the continued support. You know, I still get emails from you guys asking about when new fighters are going to be added to the game, certain updates. All that information can be found at playundisputed.com. As for the latest available download, that is the Mexican Monster Pack, which includes David Benavidez, Andy Ruiz, Hector Camacho, Sugar Ray Leonard, and a few others. That's available to download right now at playundisputed.com. All right, we've reached the milestone that I never ever thought I was going to get to, 100,000 subscribers. You know, it's funny, someone sent me a message, and thank you for all the lovely messages as well. Someone sent me a message saying, that was quick. I was like, that was quick. My first video on this channel was 8.5 years ago, and I think I've done something like 2,500 videos plus. So yeah, certainly wasn't quick for me. To compare it, Rory Jennings, football's different from boxing, but Rory Jennings, my good friend Rory, who did the casuals with me, I think he got to 100,000 in 6 months. So yeah, it's taken a while. I am going to do a video on Saturday that I will release on Sunday to talk about my journey, to look back on my first ever video for this channel on camera, and to talk about how I've grown it quite a lot in the last 6 months. We've added a few people to the team. I say we, this is all under Green Chair Productions. I've added a few people to the team to help me really push it, and I'll explain that as well, because I think a lot of people want to know how to grow YouTube channels, and I'll tell you how I've grown mine. So yeah, that video will be out on Sunday. But thank you so much for all the messages, all the people. You know what's crazy? This is crazy. I looked at my first ever video, and there was a guy on there called Lee O'Donnell. Lee, you've been here for 8.5 years, dude. Like, Lee has consistently, and there's others, but I just noticed that name. I was like, oh my God, you've been here from the very beginning, and you're still here, which is incredible, incredible. So look, I can't thank you guys enough, but we'll talk about it a bit more. I want to get into this video. We'll talk about it a bit more on that video that I'm going to film on Saturday, which I will release on Sunday. Ade Gman episode 27 is up now. Go and give it a watch. I'll put the link up here somewhere. All right, this could be quite a long video. Sorry, quite a lot's happened in the last few days. We haven't done a video for 2 or 3 days. Let's start with this. This kind of broke late last night. It's been rumored for about a month. Boxer agrees historic broadcast deal with the BBC. Well done to Ben Shalom. There's been a lot of conversation about what's going on with Ben Shalom. When's he going to talk? When's he going to release a statement? This is the statement, right? I mean, it's a case of let me just work, and then once I've got something over the line, I will announce it. And this is what he's been doing. He's been working on this deal, I'm guessing, for about a year, maybe. Like, he would have been told that Sky weren't going to renew his deal a year ago. And he's been working to find a platform that made sense for him, made sense for his stable, which is all British fighters, right? I mean, potentially, could he have gone to Amazon? Yes. But BBC just makes perfect sense. It will be a mix, I think I read, of BBC 2, BBC 3, and BBC iPlayer. Some people have been sneery about that. It's not BBC 1. It's BBC 2, dude. Like, come on. Like, fucking hell. I think it's a fantastic deal. Is it enough to keep the big talents he has? So the Ben Whittaker, the Adam Azim, the Callum Simpson, the Fraser Clark, the Caroline Dubois, etc. I don't know. But I think it's a great deal. What I think it could be is a perfect platform for young fighters coming through. I think it could be a perfect platform for them. For fighters maybe that have done okay in the Olympics, which is obviously televised by the BBC, so the BBC public know who they are, and then it almost makes sense to go continue that sort of that steady rise on another sort of BBC platform. But look, I'm happy for Ben. Again, we wait and see if that's enough to keep those fighters. Like, were those fighters that signed aligned to Sky as well? Like, was that part of the agreement they had with Boxer that, okay, we're going to fight on Sky? Or did they have an agreement with Boxer? Because if they had an agreement with Boxer, then they're stuck with Boxer, but it's not a bad thing to be fighting on BBC. It's not. But we'll see how that plays out in the next few months. All right. Artur Beterbiev, Dion Nicholson added to November 22nd Riyadh card. That Riyadh card is by far the best fight card I've seen in years. Am I going too far with that statement? Like, let's run through it very quickly. David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde, world title fight. Brian Norman versus Devin Haney, world title fight. Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes, world title fight. Subriel Matias versus Dalton Smith, world title fight. I'm missing something. Jesse Bam Rodriguez, one of my favorite fighters, versus Martinez, world title fight. And former world champion, killer, boogeyman, Artur Beterbiev on that card as well, against the little-known Dion Nicholson. Let's be honest, all of us went into BoxRec immediately. Don't lie, you did. Dion Nicholson used to fight as a cruiserweight. The knockout defeat that everyone's showing doing the rounds was to the guy that Chev Clark fought in America, Nigerian fighter, about a year ago, maybe a bit longer than that. That was at cruiserweight. I think he's unbeaten as a light heavyweight. I haven't checked his BoxRec. I haven't anyway. So look, I guess the bigger question here isn't the fact that Artur Beterbiev is back. It's what's going on with my guy. What's going on with Dimitri Bivol? Like, Bivol might have to release a statement, or Eddie release a statement on behalf of Dimitri Bivol. Like, what's happening? Like, when that fight ended in February, we were led to believe that there was going to be a trilogy fight in October. And then there was conversations about these two maybe fighting in Russia, backed by a Russian billionaire. I think Turkey gave them the, okay, you can go and do what you want to do. That hasn't happened. So what's going on with Dimitri Bivol? Is he injured? If he's injured, fine, just say you're injured. Because every other light heavyweight is fighting. Like, every other light heavyweight, like, if you were to do your top 6, top 7 light heavyweight, Bivol number 1, number 2 to number 7 is fighting. Like, there's a lot of talk about Callum Smith versus David Morrell being signed. That's pretty much done. Artur Beterbiev is fighting. As I said, Benavidez versus Yarde. Like, everyone's fighting apart from the number 1. And we kind of need to know what's going on. If he's injured, just say you're injured and we can all move on with it. All right, let's talk Dillian Whyte. Let's do this. You know what I will say about this? I think I've said it, so apologies if I'm repeating myself. When this fight was first announced, I remember it. I think I even did a video on it myself. People are like, that was the reaction. Don't lie. That was everyone's reaction. Like, you know, Dillian Whyte hasn't really done anything. He's not looked great. Dillian Whyte hasn't fought since Ebenezer Tete, and let's be honest, that was crap. His fight against Christian Hamer wasn't much better. Like, yeah. All of a sudden, people have seen the shape that... I saw a video, which I'm guessing you guys have seen as well, of Dillian Whyte hitting the heavy bag and doing a bit of sparring. Sorry, a bit of shadow boxing. He looked incredible. Dillian Whyte... you know, me and Gman did the look back, didn't we? Dillian Whyte versus Chisora. And Dillian Whyte looked in incredible shape there. And I was thinking, if he can get close to that... he's close to that. He's close to that. Dillian Whyte in his last few fights has been around the 260 mark. I think it might have even been heavy for a couple. I think he looks low 250s. And all I can ask from a fighter, this is why I get so pissed off with Martin Bakole, just get in shape. Like, skill's skill. You're not going to change a fighter from fucking where you are to Muhammad Ali. I'm not asking for that. Just get in shape. Dillian Whyte has ticked that box. And he's like, okay, if you think I'm going over to Saudi Arabia just to get smoked by this 20-year-old, we'll see. That's what I'm taking from the shape I'm seeing him in, because he looks incredible. And also, when he's firing out his jab in that little shadow boxing, his arms are so long. Like, Dillian Whyte, like, compared to his body structure, he has overly long arms. What I'm getting at is that Dillian Whyte can box a bit as well, you know. He's not just a brawler. Like, he's been tagged as this brawler. He can box a little bit. Is he a better boxer than Moses? No. But that jab could be key. Jab's always key, right? We always talk about it. But one thing I see with Dillian Whyte being in this shape is that he's saying, if I can take this young boy past 6, we're going to go into deep waters that this young boy's never been before. And it's all well and good Moses saying, you know, I'm sparring 10 rounds, I'm sparring 12 rounds. And, you know, I was on TalkSport when he mentioned this yesterday. Fighting 10 rounds is different. Fighting 12 rounds is different. Dillian Whyte's done that. And look, sometimes Dillian Whyte's blown out of his ass. Sometimes Dillian Whyte's been beat in those 12-round fights, but Dillian Whyte has done that. There's a difference. And Dillian Whyte, for me, looks like a guy that's in shape to go the distance, or to at least to ask questions of this young pup. Ooh, I am very excited. Someone on Twitter made a great comparison. I don't believe this comparison will play out, but they said, remember when David Haye fought Carl Thompson? Guys might go back and watch that fight. David Haye had all the hype about him, not too dissimilar to Moses ITAUMA. Carl Thompson was the wily old vet that David Haye was going to blow away early. And it looked like it. Go and watch that fight. It looked like David Haye was going to blow that guy away early. All of a sudden, gas tank started to run empty. All of a sudden, the wily old veteran got to him. All of a sudden, David Haye got beat. Look, David Haye eventually recovered and went on to do really good things at cruiserweight and as heavyweight. But the comparisons are quite similar in terms of the wily old vet and the young upstart that was going to blow everyone away. And he ran into a veteran. He ran into a veteran that had been toughened by defeats, a veteran that had been toughened by the talk of this young kid was going to just smoke him. You know, I spoke to Buddy McGirt 2 days ago, and I said, look, do you watch tape? Because there was a rumor going around that he doesn't watch tape on his fighters. And he's like, no, I don't watch tape. You know, when you're ready, when you're going to war, he kind of went really old school me. When you're going to war, you don't know who the guy is that you're going to go to war with. He kind of went to fucking that old school. And I was like, okay. But and then I asked him, do you have any say? Obviously, look, he's not Dillian's manager, but I said, do you have any say in the fights that Dillian takes? Like if Dillian comes up to you and says, I want to fight whoever, do you say you're not ready for that? And he kind of hinted that he does have some say in it. But one thing he did say, when Dillian came to him and said, no, we need to fight or get ready for Moses ITAUMA, he said to Dillian, are you ready for this? And Dillian said, yes. And that's that. Now, I'm saying all this. Obviously, I picked Moses. I think Moses should win. But I think a lot of people that were sleeping on Dillian have slowly... I think a lot of people were saying Dillian gets iced and free. I think those people have now like, well, 1 second, maybe not free. Like maybe this does go like deep. Maybe Moses get asked questions. Maybe we find out what Moses is like when the going does get tough. And these are good things. We want to know these things. Like I did a video the other day crowning Moses the king of boxing, or at least asking the question. I want to know how good Moses is. Dillian might ask some questions and we will find out the answers. But yeah, again, I think that this has gone from a, okay, card to a, ooh, it's an interesting fight card. Hergovich versus Adelaide, interesting. Nick Ball versus Sam Goodman, interesting. You know, I mean, all of a sudden, people are like, what's going on here? You know? So, yeah. I can't wait to see what Dillian looks like on the scales. I really can't. Because sometimes people have released... I remember, like, Andy Ruiz, in the lead up to fighting AJ, like, some people either Photoshop these fucking things or what, but Andy Ruiz looked like he was in shape, took his top off, 300 pounds. Tyson Fury, all of a sudden, in his photos, seems to have abs, takes his top off, and he's got a tire around his belly. So, I don't know. But I think he does look really, really good. I saw it. I know it. I'm just trying to see the article on it. I can't find it. But Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn 2 is done November 15th, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. There was a lot of talk about this fight being in September. I felt the reason it got delayed was because there was a bit of pushback on Chris's side about sort of the rehydration stuff and the weight and everything. And I think they've almost had to agree to it or the fight doesn't happen. Conor's in a really strong position here to say, fuck it, then I'll walk away. Because Conor does have options. Options that will pay him the same amount of money as this, no. But he has a lot of options. I did say this, Conor, because of who he is, because of the promoter he's got, because of the broadcaster he fights for, he can jump the queue to take on a lot of these top 147 guys. Like Conor could fight Barrios tomorrow. Could. Conor could fight Rolly Romero tomorrow. Could. Conor could fight, this might sound crazy to you guys, the winner of Brighton Norman, Devin Haney. Conor's in a really strong position here. Where if you look at Chris, I mean, who's at 160 that is sexy, like that you can make good money from? Alim Kanali? No. Carlos Adames? No. Eslande Lara? No. And where he did seem to be front and center for a Canelo fight, Canelo won against Bud, all of a sudden Hamza Shiraz has jumped him. And is Chris going to fight Hamza Shiraz? I don't think so. So there aren't that many options. So you can understand why Chris, and I think it is Chris, has said, you know what, fuck it, let's do it again. Because the fight will be at 160 again. There will be that rehydration cap again. And it looks like Chris has agreed to it all. But yeah, I was a bit surprised. Although I think the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is so much better for boxing than Wembley, I was a bit surprised that they've not gone to Wembley. It's another 30,000 seats. That could mean another 5 million in the kitty. But Tottenham's so much better. To be honest with you, it's just an incredible venue. Incredible for boxing. I don't know how it's going to get any better or how they're going to better the first fight. The first fight had absolutely everything. But we'll see. Heavyweight Johnny Fisher will return to the ring in either November or December. That's good. That's quite good to know that he's going to be back out quickly. Obviously, he's left. He's now with Tony Sims, right? He's left Tibbs. Okay, let's see what happens, right? I mean, these changing of trainers when you suffer a defeat doesn't always work out well. But Tony Sims is a good trainer. So let's see. Hopefully, it's just small improvements. You know the thing about Johnny Fisher? Johnny Fisher has never, ever, ever said be world champion. That's just never come out of his mouth. Like, so people that have shitted on him for losing to Dave Allen, I mean, I've always only felt that he will be sort of a British level, maybe a British champion, maybe a European champion. So losing to Dave Allen's not the worst thing in the world, is what I'm trying to get at. It depends. You only shit on him if you had expectations that he was going to become a world champion or somehow crack into that world scene. I never thought that, which is why I would never shit on him. If he said that, then okay, I get it. But he never said that either. So all the stick he's got, and he's still continually getting for losing, it's kind of weird. FA Jagba Frank Sanchez IBF purse bid delayed by 1 week. Seen that fight already. Wasn't great. Don't fancy seeing it again, to be honest with you. All right, other little bits and bobs, but that's the main meat of it. Keyshawn Davis, by the way, did an interview, didn't he, with Ariel Helwani, saying that, you know, he's not in the right space. I think he's going to take a year out or something. I like Keyshawn. I don't know. Well, I do know, but I don't want to say what I think.
Champions are not born. They're forged. This is about turning the ordinary into undisputed. Available now.
Ade Oladipo, brought to you by Undisputed.